Walt Disney was the fourth of 5 children in his family. He lived in Chicago for the first 4 years of his life. His family then moved to Missouri. This is where Walt really grew up. He says this is where many of his firsts happened. He saw his first movie, acted in plays, and even sold his first piece of art. He also developed a love of trains from his uncle who worked at the railroad. He lived in Missouri for 5 years, and then his family moved to Kansas City. Here, Walt got a job delivering papers. He did this before school and then would finish up after school until dinner. On Saturdays, he went to an art institute where he took drawing classes. He was so busy with these things that he did not do well in school. When he was 16, his family moved back to Chicago, and Walt did his last year of high school before dropping out. He wanted to join the Army. He was originally turned down because he was so young. He then convinced his mother to change his birthday on his christening certificate so he could join the Red Cross. He was sent to France for a year where he drove an ambulance. After this, he moved back to Kansas City where he got a job at a commercial art studio.
Walt Disney started off his career working with his brother. That work ended before they could finish the Oswald the Rabbit cartoon because of a contract dispute. They ended up deciding to start their own company, and they came up with their own characters. Their first success was Steamboat Willie. After that, they came up with Mortimer Mouse, who later was named Mickey because Disney's wife thought it sounded better. He later started to expand his company, where he included a training school where a new generation of artists could develop new cartoons, such as the first feature-length cartoon, Snow White.
Walt Disney is certainly known for his many classic movies that everybody loves. However, it may surprise you that the production of some of these movies was not always magical like it may seem. There were a few movies whose production caused his company to go into debt for a while. The release of Pinocchio and Fantasia did not make the company enough money, so they started paying their employees less, which prompted many of those who worked for him to quit. The movie Bambi also caused a bit of an economic struggle, but before Disney had the opportunity to produce films for the purpose of being propaganda during World War II. These short movies that starred Donald Duck, Victory Through Air Power, and Der Fuhrer's Face ultimately helped the Walt Disney Company get out of debt. Still, for a period of time, they again owed a lot of money due to the costly creation of Bambi. This caused a halt of production for a time, during which Roy pitched the idea of some live-action films. After some difficult years, Cinderella finally gave them the break they were looking for, bringing in $8 million in just the first year of release. Walt Disney was also very interested in creating a theme park, which would later become the Disneyland we know today. He took this idea very seriously and wanted everything to be perfect, devoting a lot of time to the planning process. The various other theme parks that already existed around the country were visited to better give him ideas for the direction of his own park. Disneyland opened in July of 1955, exactly 1 year after construction began. In only the first year of business, his park had attracted almost 3.6 million people. Disney World in Florida was also designed by Walt, but he died before it was fully completed. Something else that you may not know is that during the 1960s, Walt Disney had made plans for a ski resort in the Sierra Nevada mountains. However, this idea would never actually come to life.
In 1966, Walt Disney discovered some terrible news. At age 65, he found out he had lung cancer and passed away shortly after. His body was cremated and is now found at the Forest Lawn Cemetery in Los Angeles, California. When Walt died, Disneyland wasn't finished, therefore he never got to see the finished product. Luckily for all of us, his brother Roy, who was about to retire, stepped up to the plate and finished Disneyland for all of us to enjoy. Although Walt is dead now, I truly believe that he is one of those people whose spirits truly live on. Kids all across the world watch his movies every single day and get a smile out of it. His amusement park, Disneyland, welcomes thousands of people every single day and is now one of the most visited and known amusement parks in the world. There are various different ways that people are benefiting from Walt's creations even after his life came to an end, and if he knew that, I'm sure he would be absolutely astonished.